One, two. Hello, hello, hello. This is Brigitte. Good morning, baby. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
I'm all kerfuffle. I was running around. I tripped on my guitar and almost wiped out in the living room. It's like, oh, this is not good.
Are you online?
How's everybody?
What did you do?
Really
Can I see
good.
you?
Good.
Good.
Tired, but good.
Are you in Calgary, Yvonne?
You can't see me now. Oh.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
We didn't have our morning hug.
Hey, what's happening if there's
Yeah, we got-
smooching going on?
Yeah, we
we want to
missed
see
that.
what the hell's going on. If there's going to be smooching.
That's what
Didn't have the volume off, had the video off.
How was everybody's week?
Good.
cool.
Well, this is
Good.
terrible lighting.
Really good. Had a great event this week. So
Oh, yeah. What was your event this week, Yvonne?
with Paula Onisco.
And who is she? What does she do?
She's a money mindset coach, and she had a 2-day event called the Money Leap. It was amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. I know Roseanne is not going to make it today. She had to work. So we are waiting for a couple more people. How's everybody's story coming along?
I'm not sure after I just read your note how many words it's supposed to be.
Like if you're going to do 5 minutes is about 750 words.
Yeah, I got nowhere near that.
That's okay. And you know what? It's not a rule. It's just an approximate, and whatever you have, you have. That's what we're going to go over next week. And I have other people that would love to come and share stories as well. So if we have a few short stories that are only a couple of minutes, we can add more people. Oh, there is Heather. So it's all good. Super flexible. This is doing this is to be fun and just start practicing your skill of storytelling, and also practicing storytelling online on video, which is very different, and we'll talk about some of that today, because there definitely are different a few different things when you're presenting online as opposed to in person. Now, do I have everybody's headshot? I know I have Heather.
Oh,
have
I didn't bring
Susan.
mine.
Okay, and you can just send it to me. And if not, like I wanna, so what I wanna do is I'm gonna change the banner on our event so that it has all of your photos. If you don't send me a photo, I'm just gonna go and pick one that I like on your social media. So you pick or you let me decide. It's all good with me. And that's how we're gonna do it. I am
I'm pretty sure
super,
you should have something from me.
yeah, like one or
Well, we
500.
yeah, I was gonna say.
And that's the thing. Most times, like when I do my women talk events, I would just go and look at their social media and pick up one of my favorite profile picture that fits in
we
what
took
I
some
want to do.
with the like the Santa hats on the last time I was at your place.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
cut you out of it.
yeah.
So it's
What?
basically all about me.
You're gonna
Just
cut
saying.
me out of it? What the hell?
Well, yeah. You crop it. It's called cropping.
Ah, all right. Well, I think I can do that. All right. So This is not what I want. Hold on a minute. I want to share. First, I have to start the slideshow from the, there we go. And now go back. And it was funny. I was just practicing with a friend of mine who is doing it's the oil industry, and they're doing a trade show, an online trade show, which is like a whole different thing. And she uses a Zoom webinar. So we met yesterday, had a beer, chit chatted, and tested all the different settings in a webinar that are different than a Zoom meeting. Okay, so have you guys decided in what kind of opener you're going to use? So let's go around the room and see which style of, and if you have a different one, that's totally cool. I will tell you. So mine, how I'm gonna start my story is I'm gonna start right in the middle of a scene, and then you go back to the beginning. So this is going to be my opening. Oh, the sharp, sweet, refreshing smell. The smell of the North Pole where Santa Claus lives with all the presents. So that kind of pique the interest a little bit. They kind of have a feeling that it's going to be a story about when I was a kid, because I'm talking about the North Pole where Santa Claus lived. And then I regress. I don't know. I can't think of the word. My brain is not awake yet. Regress, and then start at the beginning of the story. So let's go around the room and see what you guys think you're going to be, how you're going to be. I'm just stretching you so I can see all of you. Now, are you guys able to see my full slide right now? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I've stretched you so I can see you. So Yvonne, do you kind of have an idea which style of opening you're going to be using?
It will most likely be the imagined scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very powerful one. I really like. I was debating about adding that, like tweaking my line and doing that, but I decided to go a little bit different this time and start in a scene and then go back.
Yeah, I
And
don't have anything written out yet.
yeah,
Like
that's fine. And you don't want,
that will
and
come
you,
in the next week or so.
yeah. And often, just, I mean, it's a story that so just writing the points will be just fine as well. And again, you guys, you got to remember, this is not about being professional storytellers. This is ordinary women sharing their holiday stories. And that's what we're doing. And we're going to have fun with it and be relaxed and just enjoy it. And the only reason why I'm bringing this question in right now is because we've been doing the masterclass, and I want you to kind of think about it. How are you starting your stories when you're actually doing a talk? And it helps you to kind of organize it ahead of time, like even before you write it. But it doesn't really matter. You can write it and then write the beginning after, which is often what I do. But to kind of think, what kind of an opening do I want to use is a good way to start. So Jacqueline Carroll, do you kind of know sort of what kind of opening style you're going to use?
Um, I was working on either a question or, more a question. Have you
Nice.
ever, or
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. Very cool. Thank you. Brenda Lee, do you kind of know what style of opening you're going to use?
Yes,
And
I
by the way, if you have questions and you want to test it on us to see which one we like better, feel free. This is the time to do that. And next week we're going to do that as well.
In my case, I've actually pretty much written the story. It's longer than it's 5 minutes, so I have to shrink it. But I started with a question.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it. And Susan.
I started with a question.
question? Like it? Like you're nice and firm. You're already set. That's perfect. Look at you.
Well,
So
it's simple. It's who has a Christmas stocking? 63 years old.
yeah, that's a great way because people are going to go, whoa, you have one, Jacqueline? That's
Yep.
63, 60, that old?
Yep.
Wow.
It's my very first stocking that my mom made,
Wow.
and I have it.
Two of you in one call. I've never even, like, that's so cool. Very cool. Heather, do you know sort of what style you're going to use to start your story?
I think I'm going to use a shocking statement.
Ooh, do you want to test it on us now or wait till next
Sure.
week?
No, I'll test it now. So the title is kind of a question. And then the first statement is, well, it's shocking because I know somebody who saw Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus. Pretty exciting. So
Fun. Love it. Susan Jones.
Yeah, I have an idea anyway, so I thought I'd kind of run it by everybody. So the story that I want to tell, I was chatting with my brother about different memories, and he reminded me of something which I actually had thanked my uncle for just 2 years ago when he came to be at the hospice with my mom, which was the fact that at the first Christmas, my dad died in October 1990, and the first Christmas we were all like, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to be Christmassy? And my uncle just happened to have a really good year at his business, so he invited us all to Banff, like to do this Christmas with him there. And so as I wrote the beginning of the story before last class about the emotions I wanted to evoke, but I started thinking like, really, this is sort of like the best Christmas present I ever received. And so what I was thinking of was starting with that quote from the Grinch, which is maybe Christmas he thought doesn't come in a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more, to kind
Nice.
of what it's
Beautiful.
about to me, you know?
I love that. And Dr. Seuss, like, I mean, the Grinch, when you pick quotes like that, especially on holiday, for the holiday season, like right away, it puts people in the mood, I find, because most of us know these quotes. Yeah, I really like it. And what about you, Jacqueline? Have you decided what kind of an opener you're going to be using?
Yeah, I thought I would use a wager. I'm going to wager that, and I'll wager the listener like a box of candy canes or something like that, that my perception of one particular holiday thing is different from theirs. So it's a little bit of a positive statement, challenge, possibly a little bit shocking, maybe not.
I like that. I like that. That's a really cool. Actually, I love that. I think it's great. It's really good. That'll be fun. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on what Susan was saying, Susan Jones, about it's really funny. And I talked about this a little bit earlier this week. We were doing with Plexus, we were talking about stories. And it's so amazing. Once you put your story goggles on, how you start seeing stories that you didn't know were even there. You didn't even know they were stories. So my story, I just picked it this week. I went over to my mom's place, and ended up helping her with the tinsel on her tree. And it's like, I got a whole story, like Christmas trees. I got some really funny story. Like there's a tinsel part and another part, and it all starts coming together. So it's so cool. And I don't know if you guys experienced this, since now you're looking for a holiday story, on how you're realizing things or remembering things that you didn't know, and all of a sudden it becomes a story. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to get there, to see the stories, like to see the story in putting tinsel on a tree. It's just a whole series of things, and it becomes a great little story. So, keep looking at things, and when you're coming across Christmas stuff over the next week, like, think like, what's the story behind this? Oh yeah, I used to do like it's gonna start triggering stuff, and that's what is really cool about storytelling is once you start focusing on it, that you put your story goggles on, you'll see more and more inspiring stories that you can use to grow your business.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Okay, so
always.
yeah, so like you, I don't know why we have so many parallels in our life, but I joined Toastmasters this year also, like in September. And I had to write my icebreaker speech a few weeks ago. And this class helped a lot in that, setting it up as a story, because I was like, what do I want to tell about myself? And so I was really honest and really vulnerable about certain things in my life, but I framed it all about the point of I was writing my own story and changing my endings and things like that. Um, and in the past, I've been really hesitant to, I'm always downplaying like what I've done, but I didn't do it this time. I just thought I'm just going to be out there and talk about these things. And the feedback I got privately was that, and publicly too, was like, oh, wow, like I love you and you're inspiring. Like that's inspired. And I never thought of myself that way. So I just wanted to share it because like I think a lot of us, especially as women, like we often downplay the things that we do. And just by sharing something that you've gone through and people start seeing themselves, I was so surprised, but it felt really validating too to have people say, oh, I think if you do that, I can do that. And it was amazing. Like, so this story is so powerful. That's just all I wanted to say. It was just how cool it was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find so Toastmasters is really like it's an old organization, and they tend to have a bit of an old-fashioned way of doing things. And I don't know why, but often people are not using stories when they do their speech. They don't use this, and it's very dry and not as like you don't relate as much that like anytime you have to speak, always try to insert, even if it's 30 seconds, insert a personal story because it changes everything. It's so powerful. So that was very cool. I know, and you know what? My Toastmasters group, I mean, I get it all. Oh my God, you're such a good storyteller. And now I can see, like when I first started, it was very stiff, very regimented, very presentation.
Mhm.
And you can see a shift happening now because I'm doing it and people are liking it. And now they're starting to do it. And it's fabulous. I love it.
Well, sorry, just one more thing is we had an open house with Lance Miller, who's like, he's a world winning speaker, and he does a lot of the same things you do. And he did a talk for us, and he was so personal about certain aspects, and he was really storytelling. And his club became like one of the biggest ones in the world. And so I think totally like you're so on the right track with how telling a story, that's what people start getting in there with you.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now because I'm a talker.
No, totally. No, this is great. And that's what I want is interaction and your opinions and how we do things. Okay, so next, so today I'm going to shrink you out of my way a bit. So we're gonna talk about the closing and different ways of closing, different types of closing. One of the ones I find that I've done that actually a couple times at Toastmasters, and it is one of the ways Toastmasters teaches you is to, at the end of your story, go back to the beginning, whether you use the sentence you had at the beginning or the example, or for example, Jacqueline, you say you're going to be daring people or challenging or whatever. So at the end, so now what do you think? Did you win the challenge? So you kind of come full circle. This is a great storytelling. It's a great close for storytelling. And then, obviously the problem solution. So this has a little bit more of a business feel to it, but not necessarily. It can be just about sharing a story as well. The crystal ball. So kind of like, looking to the future. A demonstration close, so you demonstrate what you had learned within the story, and with a quote. I love that too sometimes, especially if the quote is really inspirational, That's really enjoyable. I love that. And just leave people thinking about like I don't know, some quotes are just so incredible. It's a great way to end. And there are a lot of holiday quotes, so you can search that up if you don't have if you don't feel that your close is good for your story. Go search up some quotes about that would relate to your story. And then, congratulating the people in your story for having grown. I mean, it's kind of weird to congratulate yourself, but I guess you could. It all depends in which way you do it, or saying that you're so proud of the growth that you've experienced, or often the stories, if we go more on the business side of things, are about your customers, and congratulate them, or your staff, or so finish with congratulations to what they have accomplished. What lesson have you learned in your story? And then the reveal. I love that too. This is like you're going through the whole story and people are like, what is it? What's going on? Like, and if you're able, this is advanced storytelling. I don't know if I've ever shared one that I actually keep the meaning of it right to the end. I'm going to have to work on one. But at the end, people find out what that was. Now, I do actually, my holiday story I'm going to share, there is something like that, but it happens close to the beginning. And it's a reveal, especially if you take people like on a completely, they think it's something and it's completely not. And then you reveal it. It's really cool. And then, what you could have changed, but you didn't. And that's just how it is. And maybe in the future you will. And then leave room for interpretation. I find that intriguing sometimes. I don't know if I like it when there is not like a solid point to the story that's really clear. You kind of leave it up to people to come up with their deductions. um it's Do you guys like that when it's kind of left up to you to come up with the ending? Yeah, Jacqueline does. Yeah.
No, to me, it feels like a movie where they leave you hanging.
Yeah, because there's a sequel coming. Yeah.
Well,
Do you guys like?
I
Yes,
like it because it invites more discussion.
Yes. So that would actually be,
more talking, more conversation.
yeah. So that would actually be a strong one for business, right? Because if it keeps the conversation going. Yeah. So this is going to be my ending. So this year, putting the tinsels on my mama's Christmas tree one at a time became a very special gift that I will treasure forever. So it's kind of like it's a lesson learned. And that's going to be the end of my story. It was something, and I don't want to divulge my whole story to you because I want to keep it a bit of a surprise, but yeah, so it's going to be like I learned a very valuable lesson, which was actually something I totally was not expecting. It just popped out at me this week and it became the story that I'm going to share. So do you guys have a bit of an idea what kind of ending you're going to use for your story? So Jacqueline?
I'm going to use the reveal, I think, because this is kind of one of the sticky points of my story, is that it's not Christmassy enough. It's not about, how to keep it a Christmas story. So then I think if I do the reveal, leave it as far away as possible and keep all the main ideas and stories around the Christmassy part, then do the reveal and
Cool.
ask, then I could ask, like, do I get to keep all my candy canes, or am I sharing any of them with you? Something like
That's fabulous. I love it. That's going to be super engaging. I love that.
So. I hope so.
Of course it will be. Of course. And here's the thing, you have to remember when you share a story, like people are just They just want to hear you talk. They'll be just so happy. People are lonely right now. People need connections. People need stories. So no matter what you do, you are going to be successful. I promise you that. That is just how it is.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a million, well, few hundred times. Maybe not a million, but a few hundred times. And I know that this is definitely going to be happening. Susan Jones, do you know kind of the style of closing you're going to be using?
Yeah, I'm kind of, as we're talking, debating between like full circle and lesson learned, because I think the theme to me of my story is about how kindness and family experiences are more valuable than gifts. So either bringing full circle or coming back to like how that's changed me and how I gift give, because not a big person who's into material things. So it's more like maybe the lesson is how that's changed the way I approach the holiday and the way I think about gift giving in terms of impact and caring for people rather than stuff.
Cool. Love it. Heather, do you know what kind of closing you're going to be using?
Well, I haven't been thinking about that far, but just now
Which one?
maybe
Which style do you like then?
I'm thinking maybe that quote, and with a quote, because my explosion would be about just getting back to the Christmas spirit and bringing it to everyone. So maybe a quote.
Nice. Susan?
Well, I'm looking at your list here and I'm not sure where mine fits as I was writing it out this morning. And I was getting to the end and talking about how the adults stopped having their stockings and thought, well, what fun is that? So then I wrote down about how this was a very unusual year with COVID-19, and just what came up right after that was that my stocking would be filled again this year with items that I enjoy and are for me.
So that would kind of be like a full circle, maybe, right? Because it's again, you start with the stocking, you end with the stocking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that even after 60 years, it still brings you great joy. Up to you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I would even go and search for quotes about Christmas stockings. And sometimes using a quote with a person that you like, a celebrity that you like, it's really fun. It's a really fun way to end it. So if you're having a hard time, it's a good way to end the story.
I wonder too, if I can just say something. I wonder if a lesson learned might fit in there, just because you were talking about, even with the COVID and all the stress that's going on in the world and in all of our lives right now, the stocking is still like the symbol of Christmas, and it's still going to be filled with things for you. And I don't know, maybe something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, thank you for pinching in, you guys. Any ideas you have, right? Like, we're all helping each other. I have my way of thinking, and it's not any better than yours. So feel free to jump in and share your thoughts. Brenda Lee, do you kind of have an idea how you're going to end your story?
I do. I'm fairly clear on the storyline, and it's going to, as I've listened to this, it's actually helped me create the close a little bit differently than I had originally intended. So I'm going to, there will be a reveal, and then there'll be a full circle aspect to the ending of the story that'll.
Oh, look at you, little fancy pantalon. You're going to do two of them.
I'm going to do two. Why not?
I love it. That's wonderful. Very cool.
And there'll be a surprise in the reveal. That's part that the explosion is a surprise, and then a little closure to that, and then it'll, like I said, reveal in a full circle. It just tidied it up for me.
I'm excited. Jacqueline. Now I'm calling you in French too.
I'm leaning towards a crystal ball or a full circle. And the crystal ball would be, what is it going to look like in the future?
Mm.
You know, so I'm just trying to grapple with what it's defined definitely as. But I think it's my question at the end. It's going to be, what is it going to look like in the future?
Oh, I like that.
Mm.
Nice. I kind of like those actually. I find it, yeah, it kind of like leaving people thinking, yet giving them a little bit food for thoughts. And yeah, I like that. What about you, Madame Yvonne?
I'm leaning towards either lesson learned or quote. I'm not quite there yet, but
Okay.
I think it will be one of those two.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Um,
Crystal ball is more future oriented, right? Like wondering.
yeah, like what will it look like kind of thing. Yeah. And these are just kind of guidelines. There can be like I mean you can end your story however you want. The only thing I want to make sure, and this is why we're doing this and we went over the opening again, is the opening and the closing are really important. So I want you to really put some thoughts into them. How am I going to start my story and how am I going to end my story? And what's in between is completely free flowing and it is your story, telling it the way you want to tell it. It's totally cool. But I do want to make sure that you've put thoughts at the two bookends of it. So we're gonna go over call to action. I just for a survey here, who is thinking of using stories for business?
I am.
I am.
I am.
Everybody. Okay, cool. So on our holiday show, the call to action is really it can be there, but it's not a it's really it's about making people feel good and you guys practicing storytelling. So the call to action is not going to be there in a way that it would be when you're using stories for your business. But it is extremely important because obviously that is one of the reasons why you're taking this course is that you can become better with call to action. Now I sent you the PDF again, the chunk for today, and I inserted in there, I have a booklet about call to action. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's quite a few pages and it's inserted in there. There's a lot of info. But I wanted to go over it today a little bit, and you can go to your PDF to get more information. So the call to action at the end of your story is, so you tell your story, you set your intention before you pick the story you're going to share. So you're doing a presentation on, well, let's say I'm going to use myself as an example. So if I go on somebody else's stage, my goal will be for them to sign up, let's say for this masterclass. So my intention when I go on stage is to make people realize how crucial it is to use stories. So all along, I'm going to be planting the seed. And then at the end, I will give them a clear call to action. Now, there's a few rules when you're using a call to action. And I'm just looking here. Okay, this is the one I want. So it needs to be clear and direct. Sometimes people are just too wishy-washy, and if people don't know exactly what they need to do, then they do nothing. And that is most cases. If it is not clear what you want people to do, they will do nothing. Also, one thing that works well is that increases your sales like crazy is to make them act quickly. So that's why we always see these deals where it's 50% off until midnight tonight or within the next hour, whatever you pick. And that is because you want to make them act quickly. Because as you all know, we get busy and then we forget to do many things. So it is extremely important to us that they buy our services or our goods. To them, it's not quite as important. So there is a good chance they would forget. You wouldn't because it's extremely important to you, but they could forget. Lower the barriers to action. So that's a really important one. Like sometimes it's like you got to go through so many hoops to get to the place, or there's too many options, or, go to my website, www.thestorywarrior.ca. It's clear, it's easy. And then I would even say that often you want a landing page, depending where you're doing this and how this is all going. uh, Often, so if I send you to my website to sign up for the masterclass, you might get lost in all the busyness of the full website. So it's actually even better to go to storywarrior.ca/masterclass. And when they go there, boom, that's all there is there. There is no other things to look at, no other complication. Right at the top is the masterclass. Next one starting January 10th. It's super easy. And you can have other stuff below, but lower the barriers. Don't make them look through a whole website. Don't make them try to find you on Facebook. If it's too complicated and there are barriers, they just stop. When you are doing your call to action, talk about the benefits that the audience is going to receive. Don't talk about all the content of my masterclass. We're going to talk about the opening, we're going to talk about the closing, we're going to talk about body language, we're going to talk about titles. It's like, okay, that's fine, but what people are going to buy is how are they going to feel? What am I going to benefit? So I could say things like, I'm going to increase your sales. I'm going, if when you join, like, I want to help you increase your social media presence so that you increase your followers. Once you take this masterclass, you're going to feel so confident when you have to share a story, which you didn't before. How about when you have to do a eulogy? You're going to be feeling really confident to do it, like, so you make it match to whatever your audience is looking for. So to know your audience before you share your story is extremely important, because then if you know what they're looking for, that is what you're talking to. Telling them all the things that your program offer, it just, people kind of get bored and lost a little bit. But whenever you're telling me I'm going to get what I've been looking for a long time, all of a sudden I'm all ears and I'm listening to you. Although I'm presenting to you the same thing, one is the content of my course, one is what you are going to get from taking my course. So this one, fold it up and always talk about what people are going to receive and what's going to change for them. What are they going to gain?
Brigitte, do you know that there's actually a saying that sums all that up? It's features tell, benefits sell.
Yep. Love it. And it's so true. But you know what happens is we forget when we start sharing stories, and then we get to that because it's uncomfortable. And I'll come back to this. I want to finish my list and then we'll come back on how I did it. So a simple action. So it's a one-step action. Go to my website, dial this, text this word, go to my table, see me after my talk, one-step action. So I'm going to stop sharing here. So I just wanted to talk about a call to action because this is extremely uncomfortable. For most of us, asking for the business, it's hard. It took me a very long time. I hosted my Women Talk events, and asking for the business was always uncomfortable. So keep doing it. Use your story and come up with different calls to action that work for you. The very last Women Talk I did a year ago now, my convention, I sold to 50% of the room. 50% of the room bought the membership. And I was ecstatic because prior to that, I really had a hard time asking for the business. Like, do you like what you're getting here? Then buy the membership, right? And to actually literally ask for it straight out. But attach it to the story. So my holiday story, if I was using it in a business setting where I'll have a call to action to take my masterclass, it would be, when you attend my masterclass, you are going to start seeing stories in places that you never knew they existed before. And what that's going to do for you is you're going to change your life and your family and your children's life, because now you're going to have these stories that you didn't even see before. When you put your story goggles on, you are now seeing them, you are sharing them, and that's a treasure that you're going to have for your family, for your friends, and for your children in the future. So I'm talking to the benefits they're going to receive. If you want to take my masterclass, go to my website, thestorywarrior.ca/discover. And I promise you that you will discover so many stories. You are going to change your life and you are going to become a great storyteller. So you keep, talking about these now, and I'm just off the cuff here. I haven't practiced this, but I would really work on that and look into, and then maybe I would come up with some stats as well. How much more money do story makers make, right? Like, and I mean, there's a million things you can look at, a million different angles. So let's play a little game here. You keep in your head the story that you want to share. How could you attach it to a call to action to your business? I'm going to pick on Brenda Lee.
Are you
Because this
talking?
is a really, the story, the Christmas story you're going to share.
Okay, wow.
Attach it to, because that's what I just did, right? It was just a Christmas story. I mean, maybe it's a bit easier for me because I'm about stories, but I could, you can attach it to anything. Like, try to find a connection. How could I use that story for my business?
I don't know at this time. I'd have to give that some thought because I had no intentions of having a call to action because the story is just humorous.
Yeah. And you won't be
Yeah.
having, but it's always important to think like, oh, where can I use that story? Like, for example, for me, it would be, the things that you detested sometimes can become invaluable,
Okay, so for me, the story is about surprise. So it's about expectations. So it would be, I'm not sure how to do a call to action on this, but it's about, sometimes we think we're going to receive certain things in life, but we really don't. And be open to receiving something greater in your life. And I don't know, that's kind of what the storyline is all about. Having low expectations, and in fact, it has to do with deserving, deserving more, realizing you didn't think you deserved something. So it's kind of in and around those thoughts.
And what business are you thinking of right now for your call to action?
Well, my Christmas story doesn't tie into my business, but it could.
What's your business? My
business is coaching people through, well, it's a couple of things. To actually just stepping into their personal power. So that's one aspect of it. The other business aspect is about health. Of course, I'm involved in Plexus as well. So I don't know how to link those two specifically. They're quite different. So I'm having a hard time, which story and which business am I linking this to right now? So.
Yeah, and you could do both, but you know, you can think like maybe for the Plexus one was that, you know, sometimes because you see there's an element of surprise. Well, sometimes, you know, things can surprise you. You just have to have an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Can I
know?
help?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, everybody.
So I heard you saying that I can't remember the words, but that you are helping people to discover that they are worthy,
Yes.
that they deserve things, that they deserve good things. And so your story is about, like, I also heard you say that's what your story is kind of about.
Yep. Yep. It is. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they
Yeah,
think.
it's about being open. It's about being open to the wonder of things that can happen rather than being fixed in your own expectations. So that's kind of a little bit of what's going on in the story. I expected something to happen, something way more different happened. And it's about being open to expectations in life and kind of in around that area.
Yeah,
And so that is an empowering.
Yeah, you talked about helping people step into their personal power. I think that's what Heather's getting at too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it totally attaches to your business.
Yeah.
You just
I
got to
guess it
find the
does, yeah.
segue. I mean, and I can't help you with the segue because I don't know the story, but it really does. Like almost every story can be used. You just, you know, you change the meaning a little bit. What about you, Yvonne? Do you know a way that you could use the story you're thinking for your business?
Well, as Brenda was talking, I was going like, okay, so how would that fit in for mine? So mine is about, you know, going into Christmas totally exhausted. You know, like I think everybody can relate when I start talking about that. And then consciously at one point choosing, you know, choosing time for me. And that really changed, you know, how I go into Christmas and how I roll out of Christmas. And so, you know, with the work that I do as an event manager, it's, you know, I think the components of asking for help and taking and, you know, letting somebody else in to support you, you know, is linked to the work that I do.
Yeah, totally. So by the way, as we're doing this, I just realized that what I'd like you guys to see you guys do is obviously we're not doing calls to action on the show when we share our story, but what about on social media? Hey, you know, I shared this story and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it made me realize how important it is to have time for yourself. If you're looking for someone to help you run a seamless event and where you have time to really prepare, I'm the person for you. You know, like you use the fact that you are speaking at an event on your social media and attach your call to action there.
Okay.
Right. And so there's going to be a banner about the story and all that. And we're going to have a lot of people come and use it for marketing. And that's where you'll use your call to action. Susan, do you have, do you do other work other than Plexus?
Not at this time. Ultimately, I want something that kind of like a retreat idea that helps women heal. But I don't have any plans, solid plans. I was thinking along the lines of remaining healthy to be able to enjoy Christmas or things like a stocking or just anything to do with Christmas, being healthy to enjoy that with your grandchildren and perhaps even great grandchildren.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could do something to the effect like sharing your story made you realize how important it is to be healthy,
Yeah.
and that you're so grateful that you have this amazing product that is keeping you healthy.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you'd like to find out, let me know, kind of thing. So I'm just like, we're playing this game here. I want you guys to see. I mean, it's a bit of a brain twister because first of all, we haven't heard the stories, but to always think, how can I use this story somewhere else other than just for a fun holiday event? Heather, do you know what kind of call to action to your business you would use it for?
Well, I might try to link it, I thought, with mindfulness, as in bringing us back to that 3-year-old little boy or 3-year-old little girl that's all inside, that's inside of us, as a healthful, mindfulness strategy.
And what do you do?
I'm a counselor.
Cool. Yeah. And you can even use just the fact that you are story sharing and how important it is to still stay connected in these times, and you have to find ways around it, and how you love helping people with their mental health, or connecting it in that way as well.
Mhm.
Susan Jones.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. So what I do, and I happen to have some samples like around, I do a lot of handmade jewelry and I do all kinds of different things. But the one thing that I kind of love is, you can see these hand stamped ones. This is a gift for a friend. Actually says, write your own story, of all things, on it.
Oh, we can't see the writing, but that looks
Yeah,
cool.
probably not, because it's probably not in focus, but it's stamped on the outside.
Ooh.
And it was a special request from a friend of mine.
What
So
does it say?
write your own story.
Hello.
Of all
I may
things.
have to get one of those.
That's the one, right? So I do a lot of different things. And some of the other ones I'm messing around with are I'm putting paper in resin to make little charms, and they can be like whatever people want them to be. So what I was thinking is, if my story is about meaning and caring for people, one way I've used this skill of mine is to find those meaningful reminders and make them something you can keep with you. Like an example is, like I love just gifting things and not selling them, but a friend of mine recently lost her sister, sadly to a brain tumor. And we were having a girls' night and someone said, well, can she come? And of course she can come. Then I started thinking, what can I do for her? And they had a living memorial before her sister passed, and they sang a song. And the chorus of the song was, you are loved, deeply loved. So I stamped that on a bracelet for her and said, you are loved, deeply loved, and gave it to her with a big hug when I saw her, and I know it meant something because later on she goes, I'm so touched by it, like I love it. So then I think, because I've always thought, how do I do a call to action that has to do with jewelry? But to me, it's about how words have meaning, and you can use something that's a gift to be more than just a material thing, to be like a...
Yeah, like, and like I see a connection, like your gifts, like it's so personal. It's like gifting a story that stays with them forever, right? Like that kind, like you can totally attach it. It's like, like this jewelry you make, it's like people gifting their stories, their love, because we have, a lot of emotions attached to it. Cool. And Jacqueline.
Unmute. Something along the lines of either thinking outside the box or shifting perception. So
How you
something.
never thought you were going to do multi-level marketing, and look at you go now.
Kidding. No kidding. But and even the way that some people view taking supplements, like they link it to pills, and who wants to be taking pills? And yet when we change the perception around that, it can become something very valuable.
Yeah, that's a good connection to your call to action. I like it. And Jacqueline. Yeah, now I'm.
I don't have a business right now, and I'm so all around the world right now, rethinking my whole story, and you guys are sending me off on a project. But I would think a call to action, I mean, the whole notion of Christmas and the feel good about Christmas, for the most part, for many people, it's not for everyone, but it's the call to come back and look at the true meaning. And I think that could be in any story, the true
Yeah.
meaning of Christmas.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So yeah, play with it. And I would love for you guys to, I'm just, share that on when you share on social media that you're going to be sharing a story at this event, to have a call to action, right? Why not?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So where I really struggle, like trying to sell myself and market myself, and I really struggle with social media. So when you talk about like sharing this on social media, like how do you mean, like doing just a post, or doing like actually going live on something? Like I have no clue how you would even.
All of the above. Try it all.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, and especially right now, that is one of your only avenues to get new customers.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find customers right now?
Mhm.
Where are you going to find customers? Nowhere but social media, right? Like, I mean, it's really hard right now to find new people, and to get people to come to your website that they haven't done business with you will cost you a lot of money. So by using social media, I mean, it's just how we're connecting right now. And you don't have to. Like, this is not a request whatsoever. It's just a suggestion that can benefit you.
It's a great suggestion. Like I said, I've tried different things because I don't know how. Like I've done some Facebook ads and I've done some Etsy ads, and my daughter taught me how to hashtag. So she's like, Mom, you have to hashtag or no one's going to look at it. But it's just, I don't know if I'm being very effective at it.
So here is the thing that's going to happen when, and maybe I'll put some time together next week. Hopefully we have a bit on social media when you're, and I am going to do it because I want to gift that to you guys. When you're making posts, to tag me and everybody else in the show will mean that you are going to get way more people. I have thousands of followers. When you're tagging me, you're bringing me into your world, and you're dragging my people into your world. Use me and abuse me. And I don't let people do that. If you're not working with me and you tag me, I remove the tag. My wife does the same because we have so many followers. Like, we're like minute, influencers. We're tiny compared to the really big ones, but we still have, I have, with all my social media accounts, I have about 30,000 followers. Now, they're not all going to see what you're doing, but you're definitely going to get my people to see what you're doing. So use it. This is a gift. Use it. And make it fun. Don't make it salesy. That's why, if you're like kind of like talking about the story and why you're doing it, and it's just like my bracelets that are so beautiful or bring such joy. And then the picture would be a picture of the bracelet you just showed us about the stories. Like, it's perfect. And you're going to pique people's interest.
Thank you.
And we'll spend a little bit of time on that next week as well, because I have a video that I want us to watch together right now. It's about body language. Body language is so important. When you're on stage or in front of the cameras, there's always two conversations going: what you're saying and what your body is saying, your gestures. It is crucial to learn, and it is really hard on the camera. But the first part we're going to do right now, we're going to watch a video together of a guy that I think is absolutely brilliant at storytelling and body language. And this is video. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Can you hear the There's beeping.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my passion, to my love, and according to my wife, my mistress in life. 7 years ago, I embarked on a journey to analyze 5,000 public speakers from all over the world, amateurs and professionals, in order to distill and understand what makes a good speaker good, what makes a great speaker great, what makes an outstanding speaker outstanding. The result? 110 core skills. Loads of sub-skills. So what does it look like? It looks like this. These are the 110 core skills, and the equation is simple. The more of them you fulfill, the greater you are. Now, 110 skills, that's quite a tad too many to go through in one TED Talk, don't you agree? So what I've done is I've picked out my absolute favorites, and I'd like to show you a demonstration of what it can look like. Imagine that this chair is something that you want somebody else to believe in. You want somebody else to buy into this. This is your idea. This is you wanting to make your voice heard. This gives you two options. Either you're on this side of the chair and you're a fairly mediocre communicator, you shoot from the hip, you hope for the best. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Option number two is that you're on this side of the chair and you know exactly what you're doing in every instance of time. You know that by taking a step forward, you increase focus. You know that by tilting your head slightly to the side, you increase empathy. You know that by changing the pace of what you are saying, you increase focus. And you know that by shifting yourself lower, you increase trust. And you know that by lowering your voice, you get anticipation. And you know for absolute certain that if you pause, you get absolute and undivided attention. Now the question then is, can everyone be on this side of the chair? Can everyone become good at these skills? What do you think the answer is? Of course it is. Why? Because it's called presentation skills, 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 skills. It is not, has never been, and shall never be called a talent. You're not born with a particular gene that makes you brilliant on stage. Something you acquire through life. Now, as I said, 110 skills, that's quite the number. So what I've chosen to do is I've picked out the 5, would I say, most important skills. Whenever somebody comes to me and they want coaching, this is what I focus on. And then I'll actually give you 4 bonus skills at the end as well. Sounds okay? So let's start with 2 of my favorites from body language, which is skill 34 and skill 69. That is not intentional. Now 34, what am I doing? What could I be doing differently in this case? Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Good of you to come. What should I have avoided? I should have avoided closing my body language, because whenever a human being closes their body language, it is a sign that they feel threatened in one way or another. So I should have continued with an open body language. So let's have a look at number 69, which looks like this. I'll have to start up here. So when a presenter starts like this, they go, what should I do better now? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to one of the most influential subjects known to mankind. Now, this will be super interesting. We'll be going through this. You'll be having an amazing time. Wow, it'll blow you away. What should I have avoided? Reversing. Look what a double incorrect looks like. It looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, absolute pleasure to have you here. Good of you to come. Well, a double correct looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, an absolute pleasure to have you here. Good of you to come.
Isn't that
Is there a difference?
the difference?
Of course there is. The biggest difference is in here. I can feel a difference while doing those 2 versions. You become what you are. Now let's ask ourselves, yeah, but David, the closed body language things, what shall I do with my hands? Where shall I put them? And the interesting thing with the closed body language is that wherever I went all over the world studying these people, it seems like we've got a general kind of locked body language positions. And I'll show you my favorites that I found. We've obviously got the classical fig leaf position. Then we have the double bunny position. You have the right bunny position, the left bunny position, the right hockled, the left tackle. Then you have the forklift. You, of course, have the peacock with flapping elbows. You have the major, the Merkel, the prayer, and the beggar. One of my personal favorites is the British horse rider. And the British horse rider, it's a person who holds their hands like this, puts it just above their chest, and it's like they're off somewhere. Oh, God, there's a fox over here. And then we found 2 T-Rexes as well in the study. Such a weird thing, presenting like this, or like this. Okay, so you mean, David, that we need to have an open body language? Yeah, that's what I mean. And I'm not allowed to have them in my pockets, not allowed to have them in my major or the double bunny? No. But what on earth shall I do with them then? What you should use them for is what is called functional gesturing, to show that something is getting better, or that something is getting less good, or that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we are going to go through. Use your gestures for what they're supposed to be used for. And what's interesting with this is that if you imagine the time we've spent on this planet as our race, how much of that time have we spent using gestures and nonverbal communication in order to communicate what we're saying? Is that more than verbal? Absolutely. Let me give you a demonstration of how important it is. So I'll say something now, and everything I say will be super positive. My facial expressions will be super positive, and the way I say it will be super positive, but my hands will be saying the opposite. Are you with me? Because this requires some focus. All of you should learn more about public speaking, because if you do that, you will become better. You will grow and you will develop as a human being. People will love your presentations, listening to your arguments, and just generally loving whatever you're doing. So do yourself a great favor, learn more about this particular subject, because you'll be teaching yourself for the rest of your life. And particularly you have been absolutely incredible, so I thank you for listening here.
Brilliant.
Now, the question is this: did you listen to what I was saying or what I was doing? I believe that you focused entirely on what I was doing, and that is the case with body language and gestures. If it's not saying the same thing as what you're saying verbally, there's a discrepancy and a disturbance in the communication. Let's move on from body language to a couple of tips on voice. And the first one I'm going to give you is about pace. So listen to this. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to take you through now is incredibly important now and for the rest of your future life. We'll go through the cortex, we'll go through the limbic and the reptilian system. We'll go through a psychologically advanced profile where we'll take you through the entire steps of the structure. We'll then look at how that relates to Aristotle, ethos, logos, and pathos, and I'll carry on in this pace. Compare that to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to take you through something that is entirely and utterly boring. Something that you will have no use of in your entire life. And every second spent listening to me now and on will be a waste of time. Look at your faces, you're like, whoa, that last bit, I want more of that. That was super interesting. The useless stuff, yeah. I don't want the brain so much, I want the second bit. Why? Because your brains, they react to when a person has a low pace, you think that what I'm saying is more important than when I have a high pace, because that illustrates that I don't really want to be there. There are exceptions to this rule, but that is the basics. So keep a calm pace. My next tip goes on pauses. The pause. Is the pause important? Absolutely it is. So let me give you a classical rhetorical proverb. Now, without pauses, and it goes like this. Did you know that every single decision you've taken in your entire life and will take for the rest of your life is based on one thing and one thing only? If you give that to the people listening to you, that is the feeling. That is what will move them. Now I'll add pauses. And it sounds like this. Did you know that every single decision you've taken in your entire life and you will take for the rest of your life is based on one thing and one thing only? And that is an emotion. Now, if you give that emotion to the people listening to you, they will take the decisions you want them to take. Is there a difference? Absolutely. But you know what? Some people are afraid of the pause. So they go like, whoa, am I going to do one of those? I'm not. I refuse. I prefer to compromise. And do you know what the compromise for a pause is? What does it sound like? It's like a squawk of sheep when you listen to certain conferences. Now, there's nothing among these 110 skills that lowers your ethos and your credibility more than because it signals that you don't know what you are saying and where you're going in your talk. So let me give you a demonstration. Did you know that every single decision you've taken in your entire life and will take for the rest of your life is based on one thing and one thing only? And that is a feeling. I think you prefer the one with silence. Now, those were the 5 main skills I wanted to take you through. And if you haven't used them before and you start using them as a public speaker, they will make a difference to your speech. I'd like to treat you to 4 small skills as well, just to give you an appreciation of how small a skill can be, but still have a great impact. And it looks like this.
Oh.
And those were the 4 skills. Did you follow them?
Sorry, I paused it.
Number 1 was I looked up, which illustrates that I'm thinking, which increases your sense of presence for me on stage. The second thing I did was that I did an audible inhale, which makes your brain believe that I'm going to say something that's exciting. I then combined that with a Duquesne smile, which means that I smile with my mouth and with my eyes. Did you fall for it? Because what I did as well was this. I did a self-laughter, and also that increases anticipation of what I'm going to say. So 4 small skills executed in 5 seconds changes the state of your mind. Now, I'd like to pick out one of those and just end off with that. And that is the Duquesne smile. Duquesne smiles has in studies shown that you are more likely to be married, less likely to be divorced, you're happier, you're more content with life, and you actually are more relaxed in situations like this. So I asked myself, am I a Duquesne smiling person? And to figure that out, I walked over to my computer and I logged in and I looked at all my 60,000 Google photos. They're not all of me, but of family members and others. I looked at mine and it seemed like my brain required, short of a miracle, to do a Duquesne smile. You know, where you smile with your entire face. I thought, that's not fair. And considering the psychological benefits, I better learn this. So I spent not 4, but 6 months learning how to do a Duquesne smile. And suddenly my brain was launching Duquesne smiles in just everyday happiness. It's beautiful, and I felt happier as a human being. I want to show you what it looks like. Now, every time I go on my summer holidays, I take a photo of myself. And these were the last years of those photos. This was 2014, there's no Duquesne smile. 2015, definitely no Duquesne smile. 2016, still no Duquesne smile. 2017, no Duquesne smile. This year, Duquesne smile. Does it make a difference? Absolutely. It brings joy to you and stability to me. Now we've come to the end of this talk, and I would like to end with something that relates to boxing. You know, Muhammad Ali and the likes, they have combinations for when they're going to strike somebody, knockout. And the same kind of combinations exist in public speaking as well. So what I'd like to show you is this combination. I'm going to start with number 34, go to number 8, and then we'll carry on to 69 and 98 to 67 and 18, 22, and 101 and 21. Are you ready for the combination? Okay, looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've had fun, that you have learned, but more than anything, I hope that you feel inspired to become a greater public speaker. Because anybody can become good, anybody can become great, and everybody can become outstanding. Because it all comes down to one single thing.
Oh, that was great.
Isn't he amazing?
That was really good.
And really, in his 20 minutes, he goes over so many things. It's incredible. This guy, and Jacqueline had asked for the link. I'll send it in our Facebook chat. This man is absolutely brilliant. He has one of the best speeches ever about PowerPoints, death by PowerPoint. He's the one that created that. Brilliant guy. I love it. But
I was sorry, Brigitte, but I was actually expecting him to, at the end, go, "Ta-da! I used all 110 in my spiel just now." That would have been a really great ending.
God, I don't know if you could.
Right? Because he, like he was pulling so many, and then, like we can't figure out, which one he's on and which one he skipped and not done.
Yeah.
But that would have pulled it really together. But I loved it. It was great. Yeah.
So what is the one point that I'm going to go around the room? The one thing you want to remember for sure when you're speaking, Yvonne?
Not being afraid of the pause.
Susan?
The Duquesne smile.
Give us one.
I don't know.
There you go. You got to crinkle your eyes. I actually, the pause thing, oh my God, I still struggle with this because I get excited, as you guys know. And I barely take time to breathe sometimes. So I've really worked on that. But the Duquesne smile, that's easy peasy for me. Mouth wide open, eyes crinkle. Like when I smile, my whole face is smile. Heather?
Oh, I'd probably say the smile as well.
Give us a Duquesne. Give us a Duquesne smile.
I need to practice for 6 months like he did. So no.
Give us one. Come on, give it a try. Come on. Give us a Duquesne smile. You're on stage. Do one.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that on command.
I can make you smile and ask you a question. What do you think I was doing when my video was off at the beginning of this call? Are you smiling?
There you go. I'm smiling.
Yeah. Susan Jones, what did you take out of this video that you want to make sure you pay attention to?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I do is I with my clothes, my body language, like I cross my arms. Yeah. And that's actually, it was really, really interesting because when I was in university, I took a drama class, and one thing I pulled from that class that I tried to use at work, and I didn't realize how effective it is the idea of status. Whether you're low status or high status, as a character has to do with how you take up space, right?
Yeah.
And so I know this. I know, like, when you close yourself off, you make yourself smaller. When you open yourself up, you project more confidence, right? But I really have a tendency toward like not knowing what to do with my hands and crossing my arms, or yeah, at least I don't do a bunny rabbit, but
But yeah, like, you know, I was actually, there's pictures of me from last year and I'm on stage and my arms are like wide open, and it's so inviting, and if people trust you, like you're open. And I was lucky that I did that. I guess I do that a lot. I don't know. It was just a coincidence. I didn't realize I was doing it until I've been diving a lot more into body
there's another
language.
a TED talk I'll post in our chat about a lady who talks about power body poses and how they change the hormones in your body and how to do them like before you do a talk
Yeah.
to get the right hormones going to get rid of the nerves, like Wonder
Yeah.
Woman poses and things like that.
Yeah.
You would do while you're
Cool.
talking, but yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Jacqueline, what's the one thing that you've taken out of the video that you want to work on?
The pause. That the pause is fine.
Yeah. So I actually, if I am using paper, I don't as much anymore. Sometimes I'll have cue cards still, like during the convention when I speak a lot. I actually make like, I take a Sharpie with a big red line and make a line across to remind me to pause. Because it's a tough one for me because I get so excited. I go 100 miles an hour. I am getting better. Brenda Lee.
Well, for me, what was interesting is I noticed that I would say in my past, I used to, the would come in there. That was something I blatantly didn't know it. And I also joined Toastmasters a couple of years ago and recognized in one of my speeches, I had 21 ahs and didn't even know that. So I've consciously made an effort to deal with that. The other thing is I often used to talk with my hands in prayer pose, and I was walking around like this because I didn't know where the heck to put my hands. So I've not been used to having an open body posture, but I do find I'm often like this, or I'm like this, or if you see me on a call, and I recognize that now that I got to open up the expression so that I'm seen and not hiding behind my hands. So those are two things for me that came up.
I love it. Yeah. And I like his point, like use your hands with purpose.
Yep.
And the way I think about it is if I was talking to my kids about something and I'm talking to them like this, they go like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not normal. It's not a normal, like, I mean, it can be, but to do this the whole, like, it's not a normal way of communicating.
I've come to realize for me what it is. It's a little bit of, I can talk to a smaller audience on a stage. This allowed me to stand behind my hands and give me a sense of comfort, but it didn't probably open me up to the stage.
Like this thing here that they do, the old ways they used to tell you makes you smarter. Like it's just, to me now, it's just pretentious and full of shit. Like, you can do a little bit of it, but like these people, like, you know, it's so pretend. Like you can tell it's done so they can look smarter. Mm-hmm. They were told to do this because it makes them come across as knowing more what they're doing.
Well, what's interesting is the gentleman, my fiance, is actually he's called a DTM in the Toastmasters. He's been in Toastmasters for 2.5, 3 years. And I've watched the transition because I've watched some of his speeches, which are really cool actually to see the change and the shift. But it's also interesting because I've consciously tried to, even in day-to-day conversation, make a conscious effort to stop the umming and the ahhing because it was so bad for me before, so bad. Yeah. This and the ums and ahs were me hiding and not really knowing what to say next. So very much made myself, that was very fun to see that video I made.
And every once in a while we'll come up with a new word, like is one of them. You're around, you get like I went there and like I did this.
Or so
it sneaks up on you.
Or so like so I did this, or so
then
and so
yeah.
And so then
and that's why groups like Toastmasters are so good for this. By the way, this Tuesday at noon, my Toastmasters club is having an open house. I'll put the link in our chat as well. Jacqueline, what did you take out of the video?
One of the things that for me, it wasn't so much, although I just did one, the was tisking. And the next sentence, and so when I was doing my 30-day challenge Facebook Live, that was one of the things I focused on. And another thing that I noticed today is when I'm on, because we're going to be on Zoom, we're going to be on Zoom this way. I have a tendency to sit like this.
You're too close to your camera.
Which I would think probably gives that I'm tired, you know, but I don't like how I'm sitting. I don't like how my computer is. I don't like a bunch of things about this. I'm going to be working on that.
Nice. So have it ready for next week. I want you guys to share your story next week. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to be more about the beginning and the end and your environment and your body language that you're going to use, which takes me to our last part of the class today, is putting this into virtual presentation body language, because that's completely different. When you have a whole stage and you can walk back and forth and talk to people, like, you know, the stuff that that David offered here in the video is fantastic, but in a Zoom virtual presentation, it's a little bit different because you are very limited to what you can do. So there's 4 online gestures and something to keep in mind. So first of all, when you are sharing a story, when you are doing a presentation, you should be standing. If you're able at all to stand, it will change everything. Oh, I was going to raise, but then I don't have time. I have to fix my camera. It is so important that I went and bought myself an IKEA desk that rises and lowers, because it is important when you're standing, you have more energy, you're able to speak with much more power. It's much more interesting. Look at the environment behind you. I am not a fan of virtual background. I have a green screen. I can do it. I like it for pictures. Some instances it works well if there's something you want to do that's a bit funky. But here's the thing. You are via camera. People can't feel you. People can't smell you, which sometimes is not a bad thing. You know, like they can't connect to you in a way that they would if they were in the audience with you. So to give them a piece of your house behind you is actually a positive thing. Now make sure that it's not too busy and clogged up and hard to look at. But the problem with the virtual background is often you will disappear in one. It's a bit distracting. It may be okay for business presentation, but for storytelling, I like to just see the person. You want to be from waist up and have like a couple of inches above your head. So you're going to need to back the camera away from you. If you have not disposable, but a mobile camera, like I don't use the camera. This is my computer here. I don't use my computer camera because I can't see my screen. And if I wear glasses, I can't see my screen. Sorry, if I wear glasses, I can't see my screen, but to be able to see my screen, I need to be close to it. Anyway, it's complicated. Just if you can have a camera that's a bit further away from you, that's great. Remember, when you are telling your story, look at the camera. Don't look at the people. Now, often during our course, I'm looking at you on my screen, but when you are talking to the audience, when you are sharing your story, look at the camera. If you do not have a Zoom account, open one. It's free. And then practice. Practice talking to the camera. Just turn it on and videotape yourself and then see what it looks like. What does your background looks like? You know, like test it beforehand. And next week we'll look at it. So let's talk about the 4. So the feeling emotion. So all of your gestures when you're doing an online presentation are at chest level. Don't grab your boobs. Well, depends what kind of story you're sharing. Right, but it's all, and I'm gonna back up, like I should be a little bit further. So this is, you should be standing and most of your gestures will be here. A lot of times when people are talking, you just see like little fingers popping up every once in a while. It's disturbing. Make sure that when you are using your hands, they are in the camera. Now, one of the gestures is the emotion gesture, your hands on your heart, right? So that's a great gesture that you can use. Another one is comparison. When I was 10 years old, this is what I did. Now that I'm 55, this is what I do. So you're comparing, right? Or before and after. These are great hand gestures to use online. Excitement. Yes. Yes. I can't believe it. Oh, I'm excited. Now try to not have it too much in front of your face. Keep it, a little bit to the side maybe, and, with your Buchanan smile and rubbing your hands. So the excitement one. The fourth one is, it was this big and now it's this big. So sizing with your hand is another one. Now there are tons of other hand gestures, but these are 4 hand gestures that are great to use when you are doing a virtual presentation. Okay, look at me, 11 o'clock sharp. Oh man, I'm getting, yes, I'm so proud of myself. Woohoo, I'm getting good. And all right, so unmute yourselves. Did you have any questions? Any big takeaway from today? Anything you want to share with the class before we go?
Brigitte, I have a question regarding a camera. What if I don't have an external camera per se. I have the one in my Mac, which you're looking at me at right now. I have my cell phone. I have a stand that I can mount my cell phone on. How would we do something externally if we don't have an external camera right now?
Well, you don't have to. So what I would do is get a bunch of books.
Yep.
And prop up your laptop.
Yep.
In the kitchen. Like if you have a fireplace, if you guys have a fireplace,
I do,
if you can prop your camera that it's looking at you with the fireplace behind you. Mm-hmm. Hello. And if you can have a log in there, that's even better, right? Because it's going to be like, if your Christmas tree is up, have the Christmas tree behind you. Yep. Put it up on a high chair or high counter or whatever. And then when you're done sharing your story, you can turn off your camera and go sit down if you want, if it's not, comfortable enough to stand up for the whole time. But that's what I like about my desk, right? Because I can lean on it and it's like the most fabulous purchase I've done in a long time. Make sure that you have nice bright light facing you. Very important. So next week, have all of this ready. You're going to have your computer where you're going to be doing your story. So just so that we can help you and comment. And if you have question on how we feel about it, obviously we're not going to be picking at each other because we don't want to make each other nervous or anything, but just, to help you make it as best as you can make it. I did not pause at all during that talk, did I? Woo! Any other comments or questions? So I saw that there were a couple in the chat. I will give you the link. So we're good? Oh, somebody says there's a 360-degree Amazon microphone. Oh, look at that. So this is the mic that you use?
Yeah, because at work, I do training videos and I do a lot of talks at work. And I was using a headset and it was hurting my ears. So I bought this one. It was like really cheap on Amazon and it picks up your voice from wherever you are at. And so, so then I don't have to be leaning in when I'm talking. I can actually be presenting and then it picks me. And I test it, right? Because we use Teams at work. So I do a lot of tests on my sound and stuff.
Got a Yeti mic.
Mine is also the Yeti. And I also use, you can buy a lapel mic with like 25 feet of cord, super cheap. I actually just bought one that has 2 mic attached to it. So when I do my fun stuff with Yvonne, we can both be mic'd up. And by the way, Yvonne and I, we used to have fun together once a month on a live Facebook. We're starting that over in January.
Do you hear how she said that? We used to have fun together.
Well, online. We used to have a show online. Now we still have fun. We just don't do it online. But yeah, a lapel mic, $20. But that one, $30. Like, that's amazing because you sound great. So next week, we're going to test your camera, your sound, your background, the beginning and the ending of your stories, any questions you may have. And I'll probably add a few more things to this as well. Because I think it's important that we talk about virtual presentations, and these, we probably have another year or so to go before the big events on stage are happening.
Yep.
All right. I love you. Thanks for being
Thank you.
here.
It's a great,
Have a great week.
great class. Have a great week, everybody.
Mwah. See you next Saturday for our last class.
Oh, I can't believe
Oh, look,
it.
this is a good
Bridget.
sign.
Fun.
Bridget, and I think I heard a different time at one time for next class, or is it still at 9:30 the same?
9:30.
Okay.
Yep. 9:30 it is. And if you don't send me your headshot today, I will pick a headshot that I like.
We'll send it.
Because I want to get the banner so that we're all on there and you guys can start promoting it and using it to promote what you do with your call to action.
Great. Take care. See y'all.
See you next
Find it. I will send it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.